Well, I promised in this afternoon's live stream we would come back if we had anything to break, anything to talk about, if there was um, any sort of moving along the line with this, a little bit of progress. And we have had progress pretty late as we sit here and stream at 20 past 11, but it's better late than never, as I always say. And I'm joined by Ryan McGinley on the right-hand side of the screen. And before we drop any names and before we drop the name of who we're talking about, Ryan, it's late on. How are you feeling, mate? Have you recovered from the Eddie Howe bonanza?
Yeah, do you know, I'd mellowed quite a bit because I was out working there. I'm just back 5 minutes ago. And then I stuck on the Four Times podcast and they've made me raging all over again. Like they've made me think in ways that I hadn't thought of before. I didn't really know how to take the Eddie Howe news. Didn't know who was at fault, but the way they were talking, it was as if the board was completely at fault, and it made me more and more raging. And then when I saw the name coming through, like obviously I'd seen that he was the odds-on favourite, but the fact that these Australian journalists are talking about this guy being manager of Celtic, I don't really know how to take it at all. It's odd. That's a really odd. The timing's odd. I don't know if it's in line with Australian times or that, or Japanese times or whatever. It's just mad. It's mental.
Yep. So let's just dive right into it, because I don't plan on us being here for half an hour, 40 minutes like we did with the earlier stream. I don't plan for this being, TSF, we went for about an hour and a half there, just talking about everything. When we left off in that stream, we talked about potential names, but who was that candidate that was in advanced talks with Celtics? Was it Roy Keane? Was it John Kennedy? Was it Lucien Favre? Was it any of these names? No, there was one guy who came up, and there was a guy that raced ahead in the list of favourites according to Sky Bet and other betting companies. And we kind of dismissed the name, Ryan, on stream. We can go back and look. We went, I don't think there'll be much in that. But we sit here now with the news being broke by, I think it might have been the Telegraph first that broke it. That Ange, let me get this right. So this is what I'm talking about. Look, we're sitting here in a live stream and we don't even know how to pronounce our soon-to-be manager's name. Well, what looks to be our soon-to-be manager. Ange Postecoglou. I believe that's how it's said. Sounds right. Has been tipped to be the man who will be in the Celtic dugout. It looks to be only a matter of time. The Australian coach who is currently with Yokohama Marinos in Japan. He is the name. It is, well, let's just cut to the chase. A name that will be, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it, and I've said this before we came on, I'm not going to sit here and go, do you know what? There's positives to that. There is certainly positives, and we'll come to those positives, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend everything's okay. I'm not going to sit here and pretend this is the appointment we were looking for. What I'll be completely honest in saying is it's a completely underwhelming appointment because it is. That's it. And I have hope, and we'll come on to that hope, but it's underwhelming. Going from Eddie Howe to here, there's so much to talk about, but his name has emerged as the guy who could be coming to Celtic Park. Ryan, where do we begin? We'll come on to a bit about the guy himself. I'm going to kind of do this over 2 days. I guess tomorrow we might get some news. Who knows? I'm going to do a kind of who is he video. We'll kind of touch that here. But first impressions, mate, of our diamond Ange Postecoglou.
I don't know, mate. See, to me, it stinks of nepotism, really, with regards to the City group, that we're signing up a guy whose club is 20% owned by the City group, who obviously have links to Peter Lawwell and Dermot Desmond. It doesn't surprise me that we've went down this way, because it looks as if we've panicked and we've called up one of Peter Lawwell's associates or Dermot Desmond's associates and been like, who can we get in the door quickly to sort of plug a hole, a gaping hole that's getting bigger and bigger. It seems that they've called them up to sort of put that hole, I don't know, to fill it up.
It's like putting your finger in the dam, isn't it? Like there's about to be a flood. There's about to be a flood in Glasgow, and this is the way to kind of cover it up.
It's really, when you're talking about it, I can't really go into too much detail because it's a complete unknown quantity. He's a complete unknown quantity. I obviously know his name from the 2014 World Cup. I would be lying if I said I hadn't heard of him, because I have. He has been Australia's coach. I remember him with Tom Rogic. I think he told Tom Rogic to leave Celtic at one point as well to further his career. So that looks great as well. Now Tom Rogic will probably stay.
Well, let's
Um,
just we're going to come on to this later, but that article that came out earlier in the week about how Tom Rogic it gets you thinking. He wanted to stay and fight for his chance. Did the board know
no
this
wonder.
all along? Did they know this all along? Was the Postecoglou chat going on with the Celtic board, before we thought that Eddie Howe would collapse?
It probably has, to be honest, and they've conveniently not announced it until Friday, which was the latest that they could possibly announce it, because we're getting to June the 1st and then people would be seriously asking questions. They've allowed that sort of storm of Eddie Howe to seep through the season ticket renewals, I would say. Yep. They've allowed that sort of that lingering doubt that Eddie Howe might still be the manager, still renew for next season. We'll get a manager in, we'll announce a manager shortly. When they said, no, it wasn't even a manager, it was the manager. When they said the manager, I thought it was Eddie Howe that they were talking about. Little did we know, it really probably wasn't, and it's this guy. I feel bad saying, "Oh, this guy," but we don't really know who he is. Get a wee idea, but we've not got a massive idea of who this guy even is. It's been a total whirlwind of a day. I don't really know how to feel, to be honest. I mean, I don't know about you. I know you'll have your positives and negatives to say about the guy, but surely we should be aiming for a wee bit higher than this.
Right, well, let's give a bit of, as you say, we don't know much about the guy. In the past hour, I have been scrambling to do my research. I have been about every dark sort of part of the internet. I've been down under, as they say. That's what I was listening to while I was doing my research. I had men at work on, because I didn't quite know what to think. But I've done a bit of research, so let me give a brief profile before I do a more in-depth video tomorrow about Ange, the man himself. Let me give a kind of brief for everybody in the chat going, who is this guy? Know nothing about him. Celtic and Rangers fans and other fans who are watching this live stream. We've got nearly 600 viewers at the moment. There are people here who have never heard this guy. Never heard his name dropped anywhere before. It's a brand new face and a brand new name to Scottish football. It's a brand new name to all of us here. So I'll give a little bit of a brief rundown of Ange Postecoglou right now. He's coached teams such as South Melbourne, the Australia under-17s and under-20s teams, Brisbane Roar, Melbourne Victory, the Australia national team, and Yokohama Marinos, amongst some other clubs in there as well. He won the A-League with Brisbane Roar in 2011, and most recently the J1 League in Japan 2019 with Yokohama Marinos as well. He won the AFC Asian Cup in 2015 as the Australian manager. He's had the longest undefeated streak in Australian sporting history, 36 games in the 11-12 season, coached at the 2014 World Cup with Australia, as you've already mentioned. And the big thing is that he is, of course, part of that City group, which makes all the more sense with Fergal Harkin. Yokohama Marinos, one of the, I think, 8 or 9 clubs that are involved with the City group right now. So it's starting to kind of add up, and to me, it looks a dead certain that this is actually going to be your new boss. He's currently sitting 4th in the J1 League this season after 15 games being played. They're a while, they're almost, Celtic levels behind at the moment. There's no chance of them going to win that title. And last season, he finished 9th after winning the league the year prior. Greek born, so Barkas is in there. Ryan, there's a brief rundown of the man himself. How does the pedigree of that sound to you?
Do you know, I just saw somebody in the comments say that he was linked with Rangers, and I seem to remember that.
Yep,
that is where I've heard
Pedro. Interesting fact: Pedro Caixinha beat him to the Rangers job.
I don't even know, man. Like, he's a total unknown. I don't want to sound pure like elitist or that, but at the end of the day, Celtic are supposed to be a massive club. Mm-hmm. The appointment after the failed 10-in-a-row bid should have been massive. Again, it just seems as if it's a risk. This is only going to go two ways. It's either going to go surprisingly well or spectacularly wrong. It can't go any other way.
It's got all the kind of vibes of a Wim Jansen appointment, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. And it worries me because I can just see him being a total yes man. I know he's quite a confident character in Australian media and that, but he'll be like, he'll be like.
I think he'll find himself.
I'm actually stuttering, man.
I feel like he'll be thinking to himself, oh, I'm quite lucky to be in this position.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I was trying to think of a way to say that. He'll be like, I can't believe my luck here. I can't believe that I'm getting touted for this job. Eddie Howe, Enzo Maresca, I know he wasn't as big a name, but he's part of the City group. They're probably pals. They probably got a WhatsApp group. They're like, oh, who's next to the Celtic job? Brother Pedro's like, oh, are you next in the City group?
Ronnie Dyler sitting there like that. Oh, enjoy yourself.
Enjoy yourself. I watch out for the cliques that get you hounded out the club. I'm talking to you, Chris Commons. Obviously, the results weren't great as well, but no, he'll be like, I'm so lucky to even have this opportunity, and maybe that might work to his advantage. Maybe he'll put his all into this, but it's an appointment that doesn't really give you that much oomph. It doesn't give you that excitement.
What it screams to me is Celtic have just shot themselves in the foot big time. And we spoke about this just before we came on the air. We spoke about how this could be an advantage for Celtic in a sense, but they've also shot themselves in the foot at the same time. The reason that we are appointing someone like Ange Postecoglou rather than another bigger name is because no one wants to be that second choice. No one wants to be the one that was behind Eddie Howe in the queue. But Ange here, he'll be lapping it up. He's going to take the job. There's no chance he's denying or turning down the opportunity as big as this. So they've shot themselves in the foot in that sense. But the advantage, as we've already talked about before we came on, is if that was John Kennedy, if that was Roy Keane, there would be crowds gathering outside Celtic Park, I reckon. But with the fact it's an unknown, it kind of offers that illusion of this could go well.
Yeah, I know. It's that unknown quantity. I know he's won trophies in other areas. I know somebody's mentioned that in the comments. That Eddie Howe hasn't won any trophies. Did they not get like free promotions for Bournemouth? Did they not count as trophies as well? Do you not get trophies with them?
Well, there's a prominent photo of him holding the championship trophy.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, so I think he has won trophies.
Yeah, absolutely. This just screams out. It's a panic. It's a complete panic, and we need to get somebody in the door now. Not even to appease season ticket holders, because it's long past that now. They know they won't appease season ticket holders with any appointment that they make, apart from maybe Nuno or, to a lesser extent, Lampard or that. But even then, that would have some negativity surrounding it as well. They just know they need to fill a hole now, and they don't care. They should be putting out those banners up at the top of that stand just now, because they will not sell out Celtic Park. I don't know if they're trying to cling on to the fact that, we've been in a pandemic for 14, 15 months, fans will be desperate no matter what. See, if they've got that attitude, then they're not fit for purpose as board members of Glasgow Celtic. We should be aiming for the highest manager possible, and this ain't it, unfortunately. And no disrespect to this guy that's looking very likely to be coming in, and I wish him all the best, because he's going to be a Celtic manager at the end of the day. Yep. It looks very likely, but I don't see the vast majority of fans being very happy with this.
Well, there's one fan here who's certainly happy, and that's Beans. He's donated £2 saying, behave, great appointment. Let's talk about the positives that may be there. I think the limited positives. I am not going to sit here and disguise the fact I'm not disappointed. I am disappointed. But as I've already said on Twitter, I will get behind them. I want Celtic to succeed, and I want any man who's in the Celtic dugout to succeed. Unless it's fucking Malky Mackay, then I want them to succeed. That's it at the end of the day. I'm never going to root against the guy. And look, there is certainly ambition behind this in a sense, because he seems like an ambitious guy. I went on YouTube and I looked at the first interviews I could find, and it seems like he's been looked at as a guy who had a serious vision to change the landscape of football in Australia. He wanted to really kind of develop it and bring it forward. He's got his own book that I'm going to have to go and buy now, aren't I? I've done a little bit of reading into his style of football. Beans, who's just donated, funnily enough, put up an interesting tweet about how he plays his football and how he works, and it seems to me he goes to a kind of 4-3-3 sort of style football. He really relies on his wingers, which is something we want at Celtic because it's kind of ingrained in the Celtic way of football. There is certainly ambition there, but the problem comes now in, does this guy, does he have a know-how of the European game? Does he know who he wants to bring in? Is the recruitment going to be there? Are people going to want to play for an Ange Postecoglou? That is the big question, because when Eddie Howe was there, already off the top of our heads, we were going, all right, but maybe Steve Cook, Adam Smith, Joshua King, all these players were like, yeah, it was just to kind of scrape the bottom of the Bournemouth barrel, but at least it was names we knew could come here. Now we're kind of in this never realm of, well, what do you actually do? Who do you sign? Who's his ideal targets? we're not going to know any of that.
No, it just seems as if we're going to get maybe Man City's hand-me-downs now. And to be fair, their development squad is very good. There are players all over the world that apply their trade thanks to Man City's development system. Even players that haven't exactly made it in Man City, like Angelino, who made a couple of appearances. I think he plays for Leipzig now. Other players like Garcia, Diaz. I mean, it just stinks of nepotism for me. Nepotism towards the City group. I don't know if you can even use that term in that phrase, but it seems as if we're caught up in this whole City group, and this is a complete panic. I hope he does do well, but I would never wish any negativity on him at all, and we'll see how it goes.
It'll be interesting to hear him speak, certainly for the first time.
Yeah, we are saying as if this is a concrete, this is definitely going to happen.
Yep.
It looks as if we're in advanced talks with him, and it looks like it is going to happen, but you never know. It
might break down like Howe did.
Exactly. So it's all ifs, buts, and maybes at this point, but it looks as if it is going to happen. If you think about the whole Fergal Harkin director of football coming in with a fellow City group person, it makes sense. You can see it does make a lot of sense. It's like all of the jigsaw pieces that the board would want are coming into place. I don't want to call him a yes man, but the fact that he's part of the City group and so is Fergal Harkin gives me that sort of vibe.
Yeah, so I'm seeing a lot of positivity from a lot of people who know the Australian game, and I do want to take that as a massive positive. I really do. I've just seen a tweet there, and it was like absolutely loving it that Celtic fans have no idea who Ange Postecoglou is. He is going to rock their world. That is literally
Mike Wise.
Mike Wise, yes, and I want to buy into that. I really do. I want to have a belief, and I want to have a sort of. And by the way, we've just hit over 1,000 viewers at 25 to midnight. Thank you very much. If you're new to the channel and you haven't watched before, please make sure to drop a sub, even if you're a Rangers fan. Look, we try and keep it as level-headed as possible over here, even though you might have seen clips of me saying this, that, and the next thing. But I want to believe, and I will put my faith in him, and I will back him as much as we can. It's just a matter of hearing them speak and seeing what the vision is, and that's if look, we've not even thrown out the massive disclaimer that I should have at the start of the show. This is not concrete. It's by no means a done deal. It's no one has said that he's definitely going to be the manager, but it seems that the press have identified this as the man who is in advanced talks with the club. Mr. Paul donating £2 saying, Angie, my mom's called Angie. God bless her. God bless her.
Your manager's called Angie as well.
Yep, big Ange. Yeah, we've got to just embrace it, I think. If it is the case, all we can do, there's not much we can do now. Celtic have put themselves in this position. As fans, we are angry. We're rightfully angry. And I feel bad in a sense that Mr. Postecoglou is going to have to be the one that bears the majority of that negativity. But Celtic have well and truly just kind of landed themselves in a position where we want to be angry at them, because they've messed up so badly. Not just today, not just over the past 2 months, but from August, from Ferencvaros, from Prague, from Rangers, all these games. Celtic have led us to this point, and it's nice to see Kieran Auld in the chat there saying Tom Rogic could be our new captain. I mean, he's fighting for that spot. It is just about embracing it, Ryan, isn't it? We're going to have to just grasp it firmly with both hands and run with it. It's really all we can do now. As I've said, Celtic have led us to this position.
There's nothing else we can do. I mean, I think there'll still be fans that protest this, to be honest, regardless, because people were desperate for Eddie Howe. Like, I think that was the only thing that was keeping us hopeful over the past 2-3 months. Like, although the league was a procession essentially after the Rangers game, after the what you call it, the Scottish Cup game, we had that sort of lingering in the background that Howe was going to be the manager. Now that's gone, I feel like there's just a lot of pent up anger, but we do need to get behind the man at the end of the day. Regardless of what you think about the appointment, Celtic still goes on, I guess. I don't want to be pure downbeat and negative off the bat when he's not even came in the job yet and we've not even heard him speak, but it doesn't fill you with much optimism that the only European football he's taking charge of is the third division of Greek football. I mean, come on. Like, fans were slagging Eddie Howe for managing in League 2. the third division of Greece. I think that's a worse off level, to be honest.
And I think that kind of is the worst part of it. The fact that we've sat here for 2 months adamant that who's going to be in charge, and we've took our humble pie today, knowing that it's not him, only for us to be turned around and slapped with. And I don't want to be disrespectful. I really don't. And I will give him the respect.
Not to be.
It's hard not to be, because if you're looking at it cynically, this is a terrible appointment. If you're being completely honest about it and cynical about it, it's a terrible appointment. The only thing that he can carry you is ambition here. And the thing is, where is that fine line? Where do you draw the line between ambition and just utter panic? Because one party wants to go, Celtic have identified him as someone who can carry this club forward and shares a vision with the club. But then the other half, you're going, no, this is literally like our 10th choice, and they've just papped him out there.
Yeah, again, I just feel like I'm repeating things now with this, because I'm not as educated on the guy as I would want to be before making an opinion on him. But that's just the nature of the beast, I guess. Celtic have plucked this sort of relative randomer as their preferred candidate, who's quite happy to be second choice after the talks with Eddie Howe have fallen flat on their face. And good luck to the guy. I mean, people are comparing him. I saw people were comparing him to Bielsa with these sort of radical views on football. I mean, I do like the idea of having a sort of Bielsa sort of guy in that the players could automatically sort of get behind. But at the same time, I'm worried that the players have already maybe made opinions on that sort of type of management, sort of strong character that didn't work with Lennon. Like, I feel like I'm just talking rubbish about him when I don't know a lot about him, and I want to go and read more about him and watch interviews with him and see if I can be persuaded that this is a great...
That's going to be on night tonight, 6 in, up watching videos of Ange Postecoglou.
Exactly.
Robbie, just very quickly, I'm going to cut you there. Just Robbie with €5.49. Roy Keane doesn't sound bad after all, does he? What a joke. Absolute cringe. Unbelievable. We are a laughing stock. Very strong words there. And I want you're dying to speak here. How does this compare to the likes of a Roy Keane appointment in your eyes?
I've got to say though, I would say this is a better appointment than Roy Keane, because we know what Roy Keane will give us, and we know the sort of shortcomings that he's had as a manager. The fact that, I mean, this is already a better appointment because he's currently managing. Roy Keane hasn't managed in 10, 11 years.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it's a terrible position that we've got ourselves in, that we're comparing these two as sort of like candidates for the job. But it's where we're at the moment, I guess, and kind of the laughing stock after today, and I don't think it will stop with this sort of manager. And people are comparing it to Wim Janssen and Joseph Venglos, but that was back in the 90s. Like, this is 2021. We're a global brand now. We need to be the sort of trailblazers in Scotland with sort of stylish appointments, and this just seems like a stab in the dark, unfortunately.
I feel bad. I've seen so much about how he's got a nice high-intensity brand of football, very attacking, very much fast-paced. If he has any hope of getting that out of our squad just now, they better send him to some sort of fat camp, because we're way behind in getting into that position of playing football like that. We are way beyond that at the moment, because even 38 games into the season, it's we still seen the problems. We're still seeing that the team aren't fit enough, and I don't know if he's going to be able to change that straight away to get what he wants.
See, to be honest, I don't think it can get much worse than last season. And if it can, then I dread to think what it would be like. Things can only get better from here. If we can manage 90 minutes of pure football, then we're already off to a better start than we were last season, because we could only manage 60 minutes before we were flat out on our arses against teams like St Johnstone, who realistically, and I know they've got 2 trophies this season, should not be beating us. Like, that should be a freak result, maybe once in every 4 or 5 years. And it was that before this season, let's be honest.
Yep.
It's just...
Speechless.
I don't know.
It is speechless. Mate,
and I was desperate to come on and hear my views, but at the same time, what is there to hear? It's a complete unknown quantity, and I've said that about 4 or 5 times, but that's what it is. It's a pure stab in the dark. It might work out, but it might not. And I know that's the same for every sort of managerial appointment, but it's risky. It's so risky. I know any appointment would have been risky, but this is very risky because he doesn't know the Scottish game, you wouldn't think.
He doesn't know the City. Go, say it. You know you want to say it.
Fuck it, bring Lennon back. He knows the City. I'm only joking.
Look, we'll wrap it up just around here. We'll be going for about 25 minutes, but look, before we go, I want to say I'm struggling to see the majority of positives here. I'm trying. I'm certainly trying, and I will back him.
We are trying.
I will back him. But in the space of 24 hours to go from Eddie Howe, who is top tier, who is one of the best appointments we could have made, to go to here.
What odds did he have before today? Was he even on the odds?
I've never seen his name once. Never seen his name once. I don't think he was on the list. Never.
No, because I'd stopped. I'm going to take this directly from 4 times. I'd directly stopped checking the odds because I was so convinced it was going to be Eddie Howe in charge of Celtic next season. Yep. I didn't even look at that. I didn't even humour myself. I was like, oh, maybe John Kennedy's like 15-1 if a disaster happened. I didn't even look. I was like, Eddie Howe is going to be the manager. I was so buzzing. I was like, I was contemplating like waiting until Tuesday. I thought that was a disaster in the whole Eddie Howe thing because I need to go another weekend without hearing anything. I had not expected Eddie Howe to be totally dead in the water. So this is completely uncharted territory for us. This is like the Bermuda Triangle. I don't know how near that is to Australia, but it is like the Bermuda Triangle.
Quite a bit.
Do you know, geography was never my strong point, but do you know...
Look, it is. We are heading into unknown boundaries with Ange Postecoglou. That is the reality of it. But what is going to be very interesting, before we head off, is it looking back on this exact live stream. If he is made manager, who knows? This might get rubbish tomorrow. We could wake up tomorrow morning and go, that was nonsense. Don't know why the story was broke. Here's Roy Keane, your new Celtic manager. We could generally wake up to that. I don't think we will, but we could. It's looking likely that it'll be Mr. Postecoglou here. But it'll be very, very interesting to wake up, to look back on this exact live stream at the end of his time at Celtic, whether it be in 6 months or whether it be in 6 years. It will be very interesting to see how our first ever reaction to the news was broke. Watching you be speechless, watching me talk utter nonsense as if I know stuff about him.
Watching me stuttering for a good 10 seconds because I just don't know what to talk about with this. Like usually I would say I'm quite knowledgeable about football. I know maybe Beans would say the opposite. He'd say you don't know anything. He would totally dispute that. He'd dispute my geography as it shows in the chat. But I don't know much about this guy at all. This is a total unknown quantity. And maybe that's a wee bit exciting at the same time. Maybe I'll grasp that excitement and be like, here, you never know. Maybe we'll have that sort of Ronnie Dial appeal to it that we don't really know.
You know what? I'm going to go out on a limb and bet you £10 that by tomorrow morning you send me a message saying, do you know what? Fuck it, I'm excited. I'll put a tenner on it.
By tomorrow morning, I'll be saying it at 12:30 tonight after watching. Do you know what? I'm going to go out on a limb here. We're winning the league next season with Big Ange.
Don't say that. No.
Don't care. Clap me if you want. I don't care. I love the clout. I can't get enough of it, honestly. I just love being the centre of attention. So Ange will bring us to title number, what is it, 51?
51, 52?
We don't do
the numbers. We do the big one.
We count trebles, not individual titles. So
nice. We're getting petty on live stream. That's what we're doing. Look, I'm going to wrap it up around there. We'll let the news digest a little bit between the Celtic support, and I will be back tomorrow with a video diving. Oh, there's the camera just went right as I'm at the end. Oh, Christ, we can't, yeah. But I will be here tomorrow to dissect the story a little bit further and talk a bit more about Ange Postecoglou. We and Ryan will be back on the Celtic the Thunder podcast on Sunday or Monday, our regular 2 days to upload, where I imagine we will be talking for hours. But until then, make sure to like and subscribe. It's been a pleasure reporting to you right before we get to the end of the day. I hope you all enjoy your weekend, and thank you for over 1,000 views on this live stream. And before we go, I'll say it one more time for the people that missed it. His name is pronounced Ange Postecoglou. There you go. Ryan, thanks very much, mate. See you all.